I just wanted to reflect from the user's point of view. The implementation of AI features is fast. I mean, there are tools. I mean, maybe this is not the benchmark, but remember, so many people used Zoom back when the pandemic started and everybody was in home office. And Zoom was the big thing. And I would have bought Zoom shares. I don't know why I didn't, but since then, they did not evolve at all. Nothing happened. So there's still some people using Zoom, but compared to feature set is still the same since like 4 years. And yeah, while other companies are so quick and adapting and implementing new features, I just wanted to reflect. I appreciate a lot that Miro is fast on that track. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Good.
That's 100% correct.
Yeah, that's good. Try things, break things, learn from it, right?
Exactly. Fail fast, like just experiment a lot. It's really a place where the culture of experimentation is very much embedded in all teams and very infused in the cultural thinking. So yeah, it shows in the product as well, which is great.
So you would say that there's an experimentation mindset in the organization that helps you to break things and learn things. It's allowed to break things.
Yeah, it is. It's encouraged. And even more than that, I feel that the way we think about features, you know, that I think Meta has that in their organization. They don't speak in features, they speak in experiments. So everything that gets built is essentially an experiment. They also have a huge platform to experiment with, right? So they can make experiments on a very small percentage of their users, and it's still going to be hundreds of thousands, right? So it's they have the space to experiment, the platform, and we also have it. And so I think I love this product mindset in general, right? So think less about features, like what are we trying to achieve, and more about what are we trying to learn. And then when you learn, once you watch something with the mindset of learning, then you're more prone and open to pivoting if that's, or just retiring something if it doesn't work. So instead of here's what we're doing, we're committed to this roadmap, we have to see this in the product, it's more like let's see this in the product, see how it works, and then understand how we can iterate on it or abandon it completely. And you come in with a different mindset, which is where you're less attached to a particular solution, which I think is the right way to think about products.
Yeah. So for some people, it's important to have experienced a different working culture, organizational culture, like a top-down hierarchy culture that is not that agile, not that fast, does not allow mistakes to learn, breaking things, experimenting, not allowed. So I don't know, did you ever had that experience of such a traditional culture?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question, and it's an opportunity for me to self-reflect. I've been in banking for 10 years, so I think that banking is on the spectrum of openness to experimentation and failing. I think banking is on the end of very open to experimenting, and I can totally understand why. Any implementation in banking is very complicated. It has to
And it's a
put
potential
together.
security issue.
Exactly, and you're working with a complicated ecosystem of tools and systems and so on. So it's I can really understand why you want to be confident about the investments you make, because there's also the security aspect, but it's just hard to build, hard to connect all the pieces. And I think there's also this mentality aspect, right? So banking is a more traditional, conventional space, not very techy. They're trying to adapt, and like we have the challenger banks, right? Revolut, Monzo, and 26, which are breaking the norms for how banking is done. But up to this, before those existed, banks were very slow to respond to tech trends and not very much into that anyhow. So um, I can see why they require a higher level of confidence before anything gets built, and a higher level of commitment when they're building something. And yeah, it's understandable. But I was in that environment for 10 years. And
Mm-hmm.
when I first left and moved to UiPath, which was a Romanian unicorn, it was in the hyper growth phase. We just got Series C 2 years before IPO, so it was that intense time
Mm-hmm.
before, like, oh my God, we're getting there. We just need to prove things and do things.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it was a culture shock, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it felt like, whoa, something
Mm-hmm.
that took 1 year to make in banking was ready in 3 weeks in this
Mm-hmm.
kind of setup.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to like mentally adjust to not have so much time and move on with decisions that I had less confidence in, because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have the space to think them through, to research them, to like turn them on every possible angle and poke for holes and so on. I
Mm-hmm.
had to like make the best possible decision at any given moment, but still
Mm-hmm.
accept the level of ambiguity and uncertainty and live with that, embrace it. So that was a hard change to make mentally, but it really helped me be more prepared for tech in general, because tech is more like that, right? You're making the best assumption, the best possible decision with the information you have, and then you learn continuously. So there's no absolute answer in anything
Yeah.
you do in tech.
Interesting. So, but that you're now that you're able to compare these different types of organizational culture, we do many workshops with people who want to achieve that experimentation culture, being allowed to make mistakes and learn from it to develop faster. So in workshops, when we're asking people from the workforce, we ask, for example, what do you think? What's in it for you? What do you expect? How will it feel? But we're asking these kind of people that are now inside a traditional organization. And the interesting thing is, they can't imagine how it would be. So you are one of the few people that experience both cultures. How would you answer the question, now being in an experimentation driven organizational culture? What's in it for you as a member of the workforce? What personally, what do you enjoy about this culture?
Yeah, well, I feel that after I went over the initial period of
Mhm.
just adapting and reshuffling completely how I think about product decisions, it kind of pushed me in this space of curiosity where everything I do is like very excitingly something that I have to learn about, and I might be wrong and I might fail. So it for me, what I love most is this aspect of figuring things out together as we go. So this I can't find a better word than just being very curious and open. But I
Mhm.
think this is it. This kind of ties
Mhm.
it very well together. It's just being
Mhm.
curious to your own about your own decisions and your own
Mhm.
ideas and your own thinking. So
Mhm.
here's my best assumption for this particular problem
Okay.
space, but I'm open to proven wrong, and I'm very excited to see what research will surface if we quickly hack this, launch it,
Mhm.
and then start learning. What will we learn? And
Mhm.
am I wrong or right? And it's actually
Mhm.
never about being wrong or right. It's like, what am I
Yeah.
missing? And
Yeah.
how can we
Okay.
make this better? And is this valuable? Is this the right solution to the right
Mhm.
problem? Are we? And
Mhm.
so continuously connecting the dots, like this rapid learning, is
Mhm.
what's really exciting in tech in
Okay.
general. And for me, yeah, it's this curiosity aspect, just coming in with
Okay.
a mindset of, I know some things, I don't know everything, but I'm here to learn.
So it basically feeds your curious mind.
Yeah,
And
yeah, absolutely.
when we ask people inside traditional cultures what they think is most annoying in their existing culture, they say the amount of discussions we have, the force that we think we always need to be aligned and having the same opinion, creating committees to ensure the security with decisions, which takes a lot of time. So basically, they don't feel that they can create an impact. So, and I hear that this is something where you say it took us 1 year in a traditional culture. Now it's like 3 weeks. Would you agree that experimentation mindset is really reducing this unneeded efforts for discussion and alignment and things like that?
Yes, in a way, but it also kind of doesn't, I guess. So it's very
Mhm,
paradoxical. The thing is that people still want to be involved. People still want to have
mhm,
a say in every decision that's being made, but now you have the
mhm,
pressure to move quickly. So there's not so much time for conversation. So at some point
mhm,
I feel that the need is still there. So everybody
mhm,
wants to be involved and understand why we're doing what we're doing, what we plan on doing, how are we going to measure. So
mhm,
we still have a lot at UiPath and Miro. We have a lot of conversations, but we at some point there's this very clear um, decision point, like
mhm,
milestone point, where we have to say, okay, we have to end the
mhm,
conversation, like pause it,
mhm.
and then just do the thing we want to
Yeah.
do, and learn and restart a conversation with the new information,
Mhm.
the new layers
Yeah.
that we've uncovered. But the conversation is still there. I think you
Okay.
just time box it. So I
Yeah.
think that the problem in those traditional cultures, it's that nobody time boxes. We can go on and on for 1 year about one topic.
Mhm,
If you have
mhm,
a clear deadline, like I have a friend who worked at EA Sports for FIFA, the
mhm.
football game. So what happens is that they need to launch every year on
Just
the same date. So there is
yeah.
no time. You can't talk for 1 year. At some point, you have
Mhm,
to say, okay, we've done the talking. This is the best we know. We just have to move on and do stuff because
mhm,
there's a date that's non-negotiable that we have to launch by. So I think that having these time boxing frameworks is helpful for
okay.
preventing this going around the tail in a way. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's your evaluation, like comparing traditional banking culture with agile, experimentation driven tech culture, um, on a scale from 0 to 10? How much impact do you feel are you having as an individual? How did it change from before and after, and why?
Well, I feel that you can have an impact in both of those worlds.
Hmm.
It's probably different, and I do admit that you have more autonomy and power in this culture of experimentation because you can define the immediate next step and then
Hmm.
the thing that needs to be learned. So you can definitely have more impact or
Hmm.
more immediate. But
Hmm.
even in the traditional models, your contribution can still matter a lot, even if it's something as simple as just cutting the conversation when it's high
Hmm.
to do that, right? So you can contribute in different ways, but you can still make an impact. So I feel that some environments do set you up for success in making a good impact, and some systems are designed in a way they set you up for failure or just not being able to bring the
Hmm.
most value you can bring.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
it comes down to an individual resilience and responsibility kind of level where you can
Hmm.
make an impact anywhere.
Hmm.
And it's really, if you think about it, it's these old, slow, big organisms that need more impact, that you have more opportunities for changing the status quo when that
Hmm.
status quo has been unvisited for a long time. So I feel that, like, we had this conversation in the design industry for a long time. Everybody wants to work in flashy industries, like in fashion, in fitness, and I don't know what, e-commerce, and
Hmm.
the big social media apps and so on. But what about agriculture? What about banking? What about these, like, I don't know,
Hmm.
transportation, not Uber, but like
Hmm.
trains and
Hmm.
planes and stuff. So these industries also need love from designers, and they need there's a much bigger room for making an impact because they're in a
Hmm.
way behind.
Hmm.
Not all of them, and so I can't make this general statement,
Yeah.
but definitely in slower, older, more conventional organizations, there is a bigger room for making an impact. So I
Hmm.
would frame it like that.
Very good answer. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think let's switch to the main topic. I'm really interested about. I mean, at Growth Marketing Summit, your talk will be about AI in UX design, and my impression is that so many people are aware about the magnitude that AI will have in our day-to-day living, everything, but additionally not knowing what and how much. So there's like this huge buzz going on since a long time, and I think generative AI just was like an ignition to even increase the buzz. So here's my question. I think many people are already a little bit tired about the buzz, waiting for applicable things they can do with AI that improves their life. So what's your take on this?
It's a very tough question. I'm gonna be honest.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's a tough question. I think it's a big AI conundrum right now. It's
Mhm.
like this. There's the Gardner hype cycle graph where AI has just passed the peak of inflated expectations, and now people are losing trust in it, and they're disappointed, and they realize they can't find so many use cases for it, and companies have invested large budgets in AI, and they're not seeing the results come back as is expected. So there's generally this loss of faith in what AI can do for us. And I think it's, on one hand, it's just how tech trends work. So there's the
Mhm.
hype. Think about NFTs or crypto or whatever has happened in
Mhm.
years, but you can think as long back as the
Mhm.
internet or mobile phones. There is a huge hype, and then people start questioning, like, do we really need this? Is this really as valuable as
Mhm.
it promised? And AI makes no difference. Everybody's looking for tangible value and use cases, and I think it works on both levels. I'm a company that wants to have AI in its product. How am I going to deliver a meaningful AI experience? And I think most companies are just scrambling around trying to find that answer, and few have really found the answer so
Mhm.
far. My best example is Loom, which is a tool by which you record. I think it was recently bought by Atlassian, so now it's in
Mhm.
this big, large ecosystem. But Loom really found ways in which AI was infused in this invisible approach, and it brought value, like automatic segmenting of your video in chapters and then generating chapter titles with AI that worked pretty well, because there's also this aspect of AI technologies. They're not there yet. So the results are, even if
Mhm.
you aim to solve a good problem, a real problem with the help of AI, it might be that the technology will just disappoint through the quality of results, and you will not solve that problem anyhow. So you found the right problem space, you have the right hypothetical solution, but the technology is not there. So you're generating something that could really help you, but you need to edit it for 30 minutes to make something
Mhm.
reliable out of it. So there are many problems in the AI space right now, but all of them are opportunities for design. And
Mhm.
also, I think that everyone should look at these technologies as infant technologies
Mhm.
that are like the internet in its early days, right? It was so silly. We didn't even know what to do with it. You had to know by heart the website you're going to and just type it in, and there was no Google. And what do we do with the internet? And now we are doing so many things with the internet. But it was a matter of years before we found the valuable applications for that um, revolution of a concept, right? So that's AI as well. It's just revolutionary in how we think about products and how we interact with technology, but we haven't yet cracked
Mhm.
the real value in it.
Mhm.
And I think the most, if you look at studies, I keep reading them and trying to figure out what is valuable today in the AI space, and it's very limited. And a lot of people use GPT as a brainstorming
Mhm.
partner, and they use tools like Perplexity is the most prominent for researching stuff. So those are things that people really need help with.
Yeah.
But apart from that, like even generating images, how often do you need to generate an image, right?
Yeah.
Unless
Yeah.
you work as a graphic designer, which would mean that you don't want to replace your work with AI anyhow. So there are a lot of applications, but not a lot of valuable use cases yet.
Mhm.
But again, I think it's a matter of time before we unpack this space and we
Mhm.
understand maybe some things are just a hype, and maybe
Mhm.
some things will be with us forever, like just having conversations with an agent as a brainstorming partner, as a research partner. I think we'll have more of that, both professionally, like in the enterprise space, but also on in our everyday life.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I think there's a big expectation from people that AI will save a lot of time, make them more efficient, will remove all the work that they perceive maybe as stupid, everything that's copy and paste. Why can't AI do that? And so I like your perspective on the Gartner hype cycle, and that we're maybe at the peak of inflated expectations. But I mean, the expectation, it's something where I would say that it's there, it's okay, we just have to manage it. So to get to this point where AI will be productive, how is it called, the plateau of productivity, something like
Yeah,
that, right? What differs it is we have a process, we have whatever the prompts, the knowledge how to use it. So already today there could be maybe a list of the 10 things that will accelerate every UX designer's life. Isn't that possible already today, or do we have to wait for 3 years?
yeah. No, it's possible. There are some use cases which even the Nielsen Norman Group has deemed as
Mhm.
relevant for AI even today. Research synthesis, and then there's the ethical question, right? So research synthesis means that you're going through transcripts, which you would have had to go by hand and read every word, and now you're getting the key insights with AI, and it saves you a lot of time, and it's valuable. But in a way, isn't the point of research to go through each of those lines and
Mhm.
interpret it as a
Mhm.
person? And how
Mhm.
does AI know what is a key insight
Mhm.
and not a key
So
insight?
can it empathize? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So there are a lot of, let's say, ethical considerations to take into account, but
Mhm.
synthesizing large volumes of data is something that AI can help you
Mhm.
with. So maybe you want to go on the less qualitative end of the spectrum, where you
Mhm.
let AI empathize with your user, which is something that it can
Mhm.
mimic, but it's not um, naturally very good at because it doesn't have empathy. And you hand tasks like processing just data.
Mhm.
Um, and when I say data, I mean statistical information, like
Mhm.
how many people have answered this in a survey or
Yeah.
whatever. Like things
Yeah,
that are,
you don't need a data scientist anymore to do this research. You just upload it, say, please make a cluster analysis that does a cluster analysis. No Python, no R needed, no data scientist.
yeah. Yeah, so research synthesis is one use case, and I think the other one is brainstorming, where
Mhm.
AI serves as let's say, your junior
Mhm.
apprentice that kind of just
Mhm.
gives you a draft of, have you considered this? And then you
Mhm.
start thinking with higher brain,
Mhm.
more
Yeah.
experience, informed, um,
Mhm.
um, the more informed person in the conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we're more informed than AI, but we're informed better, if that makes sense,
Mhm.
in the context of every problem, because we have
Yeah.
nuances and we get the full picture and we understand context much better, and we can grasp these complex systems of relationships when we're solving a problem, which AI doesn't have, but it has statistical knowledge.
Mhm.
Um, and it knows a lot of things. So
Yeah.
it's a good brainstorming partner. And then I'm not sure, I feel that definitely in the future, there are many tools for generating UI and mockups and wireframes and general design with the help of AI. I think that they're more helpful now for people who are not designers. So let's say there's a product manager who wants to quickly convey an idea for a
Mhm.
leadership meeting, and they can use tools that generate UI to have
Mhm.
something visualized, visualize their thinking. But for designers, it still makes sense to go to Figma and create something that's more sophisticated. And so for us, it's like it's part of the process. We're not keen on replacing that part of the process, and the technology is not there yet, even for UI generation. But we'll see that, right? So I think that in the future we will become curators of design. We will
exactly.
focus
So
on
maybe there's a Ioana working at Figma and trying to replace the UX designer. So as data things are democratized, now everybody can use it without data science thing. Maybe in future people would be able to use Figma with a prompt, not needing the expert knowledge, how to create a great user interface.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope we don't replace. I mean, I'm all for not replacing workforce. I feel that we're heading in a world like if everything is handed over to AI, we're gonna see this world of mediocre, like usable things, but not delightful experiences, right? And everything is gonna just be very similar, and like we're lowering the quality of what we're
exactly. But that's the foundation of disruptive innovation, right? It has good enough quality, but it has such a lower price that it will get a breakthrough. And I see that, you know, if I'm in the SEO business today or doing user research, even interviews, our team tested it at a hackathon. What are the answers we get from user interviews for job to be done interviews? And we asked the same questions to ChatGPT. And the interesting and also alarming thing is that ChatGPT was like 80% right. But the amount of effort that was needed to create this was like 1,000 times smaller.
Yeah, I know.
And
We also, I totally get it. We also use GPT in my previous role at UiPath. We experimented with generating personas with GPT, and then we said, let's do an experiment. Let's generate a persona and then go out in the wild to find those people and understand if they match that description in their everyday tasks. And they did. But I think to your point about 80% being right, I think it's in the 20% where you can actually create delightful experiences and find the right nuances. And so it's in those small, like even with a random AI generated output, it's mostly good. Like 80%, it's good. But what separates good enough experience from an exceptional experience is exactly that last mile that you can only refine with a human brain for now.
So you, as an organization, you win by understanding how to accelerate the first 80% and then have the brilliant talent to deliver the last 20%.
I like that. Yeah, I never thought about it as a very like a process, like this kind of recipe framing, but I love it. I think that's it. You can do a lot of things, like AI can take you here, but then if you want to be exceptional, you're gonna need exceptional people working on taking that further. So yeah, I think it's a possibility that we're gonna see more of that, just laying the groundwork with AI and then going to I'm curious all these what will happen to the companies that have exceptional design, like Apple, right? For me, Apple is still fundamentally a very design driven and exceptional design culture, and I'm wondering, how are they using AI? Are they using it? Are they open to that? Will this affect the quality of the design decisions? Yeah, something worth following.
Like, can you replace Jonathan Ive with an AI?
Yeah, I mean, we will have these agents, and I think you can like train an agent on Johnny's personality and then have it respond as Johnny to problems.
Yes, I'm sure that's able.
Like the Johnny in the room, like we see this with GPTs, right? Elon Musk.
You should maybe directly block the domain johnny.ai. Maybe it's
here's a product idea. So everyone watching this, you can not personally going for it, but here's an opportunity for a product.
Thanks for that conversation, Ioana. That was amazing. I really enjoyed it.